Yes. Next is an important topic, the typography, right? First to open this file. Hello. So typography, really it is very important topic for in graphic design and web design. So mostly in typography we use text and fonts, different fonts and font styles, categories, and anatomy of the typography. These things we learn, right? Completely we focus on fonts and text. So in a brief way, suppose in a simple manner, if you want to understand typography, what is typography? So typography is nothing but what? Without using any pictures or images, if you decorate your entire design by using different fonts and text, right? So that can be a typography. So in typography design, there will be no images and illustrations or photographs. So purely we use different font styles and text, right? Here more clearly we'll understand what is typography, right? So typography is the science of using letter forms for communication. We use letter forms extensively in our daily life in various media like newspapers, signages, application forms, letters, notebooks, textbooks, currency notes, posters, tickets, SMS, email, etc. So a very large number of digital fonts are available for a graphic designer to use in design projects. A designer carefully chooses fonts after understanding the design problem, the medium, target audience, production aspects, and the context, right? Fonts have unique characteristics and need to be carefully chosen and used to achieve good results in communication, right? So in these categories, suppose in our daily life we use fonts and text in different forms. Suppose in newspapers, magazines, signages, we use these fonts and text, right? And even SMS also and emails also is very useful thing, right? So it has some unique characteristics and we have to understand more clearly. So in the next slide, suppose here see the word hello, right? Here by giving the two strokes here, it is like look like expressive a word, right? So with the simple word we are understanding, you're feeling that sense, hello, right? So this is a simple example for that hello. And here classification in English, fonts are classified into several groups, right? There are three main groups. One is serifs, second sans serifs, and third script serif. A serif is the pointed ending of a stroke, as in LRT. This is inspired by the letters carved on stone using chisels. Thickness of the strokes also changes in these letter forms, like those drawn by flat brushes. Serif fonts are known for their readability and is widely used in text composition for books, newspapers, magazines, etc., right? Where a large amount of text is to be composed in small point sizes. So basically what here, three type of the main groups, right? So here one is serifs, sans serifs, and script serifs. So in regular life daily we are using these three different fonts, styles of the groups, right? But we don't know what is a serif and sans serifs. See here, serifs. So serifs means what? Here see, serif text has, fonts has some curves here, that ending. The curves are having serifs, and sans serifs means what? Without having serifs. So here the blunt endings, blunt means like one stroke, sans serif having, right? Here serifs has this the curved endings. So by this difference only we will understand between these serifs and sans serifs. Suppose here sans serifs, generally suppose serifs where we use, suppose come back to serifs. Serif fonts are known for their readability, right, and widely used in text composition for books, newspapers, magazines. Large amount of text is to be composed in a small font sizes. Suppose see, in regular newspapers, Hindu, Times of India, Deccan Chronicle, if you observe closely, you will understand what the running matter, the whole running matter composed by these serif fonts, right? So serif fonts are known their readability. Readability is there and widely used in text composition. Suppose the big amount, large amount of text, if you want to compose in particular area, in particular design or in layout, generally we choose these serif fonts because serif fonts has readability, right? But here the other side, sans serifs, sans means without, sans serif means without serif. Sans serif fonts have blunt endings to these strokes. Almost all these strokes look like equal thickness as if drawn by a marker pen. Sans serif fonts give a modern look and is widely used in logos and symbols, packaging, signages, websites, mobile phone interfaces and gaming consoles. See, so mostly in logo designs, so we use these sans serifs because sans serif has what, the blunt endings, so look like equal thickness, right, as if drawn by a marker pen. So it has no the curviness at the end points. So that is the reason we use mostly sans serifs in logo design and symbols. And when you design kind of symbols, we use this. Our packaging and signages, websites and etc., mobile phone interfaces and gaming consoles we use. So we have to understand where, when we have to use these sans and serif fonts. So serif fonts widely used in running matters, suppose like in newspapers and dictionaries, mostly we find all these serif fonts. Okay, the other one is the third one. Yeah, it is serif and sans. So example here, the serif fonts has this curviness and these are the blunt endings, right? Sans serifs. The third one is script serifs. Script fonts recreate the visual styling of calligraphy. The letters imitate the feeling of calligraphic nibs with a slant to the right and changing thickness of strokes. These fonts give a festive and personal look to the reader and are very commonly used in wedding invitations, right? In particular purpose, if you want to create some celebration look, celebration mood in your design, suppose like you are preparing a invitation card or otherwise wedding card or otherwise some inauguration is there, right? For that purpose you are preparing one design. There you must have to use the script fonts because script fonts what, the festive look, it is creating what, the festive look. So these fonts give a festive and personal look to the reader. So we have to understand these three differences. Yes, see this. So these fonts mostly we use in suppose greetings and suppose invitation, there we use, right? Very good. And next here, font family. In font family we have uppercase and lowercase. Capital letters are called uppercase letters in typographical terminology. During hand composing, metal type of all capital letters were stored in the upper section of wooden boxes kept in front of the person composing the text, right? Similarly, all small letters are called lowercase letters which were stored in the lower part of the composing box. So uppercase and lowercase we know very well, right? So the long back in what, in the old days They used to do all these things by the hand printing, manual printing. There they arranged these fonts, upper and lower case, in their wooden boxes. So printer, they choose each text, otherwise each that one letter, and they compose according to their word. Suppose there is a animal word is there, they choose A, N, I, M. So from each box they collect that each that text, then they compose as a word. So we know very well uppercase and lowercase text. So these are the things, uppercase and lowercase. And ascenders. Ascender is the portion of the alphabet that ascends or exceeds above the X height of an alphabet, as in B, D, T and L. Descender is that portion of an alphabet that goes below or extend downwards from the X height of alphabet, as in G, J, Q and P, right? Suppose here we'll understand more clearly here. So this is what anatomy of the typography, anatomy of the font. See, this is typography, the word. In that, see, this is X height. X height means the dotted lines above and below, they are showing what? Horizontally. This is X height, means actual height of the text. Above that X height, suppose it's having H and suppose a T, right? These are above the X height, is called ascender. Ascender, and opposite below the X height showing Y, and suppose P, and suppose here P, like Q, those are, right? So those are descenders. See, between this each that text, the gap we say is a counter. Counter means what? Negative spacing. See, we learned that anatomy. In anatomy, what we did, we left some negative spacing between the parts, body parts, from head to shoulder, and suppose shoulder to rib cage. The gaps, which gap and how much gap you are leaving, that is negative spacing. In the same way, in typography, leaving gaps between the text, each the text, that is counter, right? Negative space, that is called. And here it is a type size. So including your ascender and descender, it can be a complete text size, type size, right? So this is anatomy of the typography. Yes, again telling, height of the lowercase x is called X height. This varies considerably in typefaces. X height contributes to the readability, right? In counter space, the empty space or negative space inside a letter form is called a counter, right? The empty space or negative space, just now I said, right? Negative spacing. So inside a letter form is called a counter. Shape of the counter varies according to the designer who creates the font. Actually, this is decided by the font creator. The font designers, they create different fonts. So depends on their the gaps, how much gap they are leaving, actually that depends on that, the counter spacing. The counter space also helps in identifying different fonts. These shapes can be creatively used in creating logos, right? So with this counter space only we'll understand the difference between fonts. The shapes can be creatively used in creating logos. We know that because we are creating logos by using this spacing, by giving the space and all, right? Here are font sizes. Size of fonts are generally specified in font size. In typography, the smallest unit of measure is a point, specified as PT, the shortcut point. At the time of letterpress, space for printing were specified in picas and EMs, which were subdivided into points, right? So these are European standards, so measurements these are. So here 1 inch is 72 points. See, generally in Photoshop or Illustrator, in text font category, in font list, mostly maximum they show at 72 points, the maximum size, right? After 60 and 72, there will be no other number. If you want to give more than this, suppose 100 or 150, 200, manually you have to give that number and say enter on keyboard. Otherwise, 72 is the maximum maximum number. There they are giving. Suppose if you observe, actually what is the maximum size? Suppose that Illustrator or Photoshop, if you enter, what is the maximum size point? Up to 1200 you can type. 1200, if you type and enter, it shows. More than that you cannot give, right? The maximum 1200 only, and the minimum, suppose 2.3 point, suppose minimum point 4 point you have to use. Less than that you cannot see that font size, because you cannot readability is not there, because it is very small point, the 4 means. So that is the reason at least we have to use more than a 6 point size, right? So here it is showing, see, the maximum number that is showing 72, and here see it is last to end, it is 6 point, right? In 6 point, if you place 6 point in business card or any letterhead, so readers, they cannot observe your font. So what is the text, right? So see, minimum this is. So that is the reason at least we have to use 12 to 14 point for the readability, right? Less than that we cannot see that. So maximum is 72. More than this, if you want, you can enter that number up to 1200, right? Yes. Next, leading. Leading is the space between lines of text. So kerning is the process of adjusting the spacing between characters in a proportional font, usually to achieve a visual pleasing result. In typography, letter spacing, also referred to as tracking by typographers. Tracking is the process of loosening or tightening a block of text. Suppose here, by seeing this visual, we'll understand more clearly. See here, observe. Kerning, spacing, tracking and leading, right? See this, the gap between these, the two letters here, the kerning. Keep your cursor here and enter, you'll get more space between this text, right? So this is kerning, and spacing is what? Between each word. Suppose here, ever, after ever you give one space bar, right? And you'll get the more space, and after Tuesday you'll get the more space. That is spacing, and this is kerning. And this is what? Leading. Leading means what? Between sentence. Suppose this is one line, text line, and this is one line. Between these two, in default, there they'll show some gap. If you want more, by giving this leading spacing is there in the font arrangement, in font settings, there you give more space accordingly, right? So here again, see, here to here, this is what? The tracking, the tightness and looseness of the space, right? So tracking, that is. And again this is spacing again between this typeface and Tuesday. If you enter the more gap, that is a spacing. And again this is kerning. So tracking is loosening and tightening your text. If you want to reduce more gaps between this, you can use this tracking and all. So we use this in typography. Here, weight. The amount of boldness in stroke is called weight. So many fonts are available in different weights, like thin font or light, regular, bold, extra bold or extra black, etc. By changing the weight of the font, one can emphasize or express the meaning of the word, right? Suppose if you choose Arial font, right? In font category, the font shows thinness or thickness or bold, regular, italic or extra bold, right? So these are the weight of the font. Yes, weight of the font. The thickness, weight means what? Thickness of the font, not a normal general font. Font has some thickness. Yes, next, text formatting. Once a suitable font has been selected, it has to be typeset, right? Arranged of format in a desirable manner so that it looks comfortable to read. Various things contribute to make a document easily readable. So text alignment, text can be composed in different alignments. Usually text is aligned in one of the following ways: left aligned, justified, centralized, right aligned. So these are what? Text alignments. We are using, without knowing actual the usage purpose, we are using this already, right? The text alignment. Suppose here, see, this is left alignment, justified, and it is centralized, and a right alignment. And see, if you observe here, some bubbles and rivers are there, right? So what is bubbles and rivers? The bubbles are an unwanted ugly white space which appears between words is called a bubble, right? So unwanted white space which appears between words is called, see here, suppose mostly we find this in justified area. Suppose in justified alignment, see here the gaps, because the font here it is justified itself, adjusted both sides, right? According to that your that area it is justified, so automatically it is creating some holes like gaps. See this is called what? Bubbles. Look like bubble, right? Unwanted ugly white space which appears between words is called bubble. And what is river? A series of white spaces or bubbles make an ugly white line in a paragraph called a river. This too causes a discomfort in reading, right? So rivers are what? Nothing but the continuous, the bubbles between paragraphs. Suppose this is one paragraph. Here one bubble is there, here one bubble, and here in the next line bubble, here bubble, bubbles. So in one paragraph, if you observe all these bubbles, so from top to bottom it is like a river, look like a river. It is flowing down from top to bottom. The white space is gap is look like a river, right? The flowing down. So this is called river. The series of bubbles, white spaces. So because of this bubbles and river, your alignment may be not looks good. So that is the reason mostly we don't choose this justified. Mostly we use left alignment, centralized, or right alignment. Very rarely we use justification, right? Next, a widow. So a small word or the last syllable of a hyphenated word at the end of a paragraph is called a widow. This is considered to be typographically distracting to the reader. So, often a short isolated line at the top of a column or page is called orphan. It is usually the last line of a paragraph from the preceding column. Orphan confuses the reader because they are separated from the main paragraph due to the position. An orphan often causes typographical distraction. So text composition which leaves the first line of a paragraph at the bottom of a column also causes distraction to the reader. Yes, by seeing this we'll understand more. See, this paragraph and this paragraph. In this paragraph, this is the last word, end from the this paragraph. So it is arpan. Arpan means what? ఎవరు లేకపోవడం కదా, మనం ఒంటరి అంటాం. సో దట్ ఈస్ కాల్డ్ అర్పన్. అర్పన్ మీన్స్ వాట్? నోబడి ఈస్ దేర్, రైట్, అలోన్. సో ఎండ్ ఆఫ్ ది paragraph, last word, that is arpan. That widow is what? So widow has no support. See, because this is separated from paragraph. This is paragraph. Suppose in this first paragraph, this is arpan has the support. Above this, other lines are there for support, but in this paragraph it has no support. It is widow, right, separated from this paragraph. That is, these are widows and orphans from paragraphs. And here it is expressive typography. A designer can use fonts creatively for expressing various emotions. One can select a font which can convey an emotion, or you can play around with the way you use letters. So expressive typography means what? By adding that font, we'll understand what is that actually. Suppose here, see, flesh, F-L-U-S-H. Here, by using this symbol, right, we are understanding what is that word? The flesh. It is look like, right, and short. So here it is look like H, short, right? Instead of using that, we are using this, that picture. Here infinity, right? Infinity means endless. So E, infinity. So these are what? Expressive typography. Sometimes we use in logos. Yes. And drop cap. So drop caps, it is what? An oversized capital letter often used at the start of a paragraph that drops into 2 or more lines of text, but can also climb upwards. These drop caps mostly we use in, suppose, starting of the paragraph. It occupies 3-4 lines down or otherwise above the paragraph. Drop caps, right? And glip, any singular mark that makes part of a font, whether a letter, number, punctuation mark, or even a dingbat. So glyphs are the building blocks of typography. So what are these actually? So this is drop cap. See, in this paragraph, the first letter K is, see, occupying 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 lines with K only. This is drop cap. Sometimes it go down and sometimes go up also. So these are the drop caps. And glyphs. So these are glyphs are like symbols. So we use sometimes whenever you the requirement is there, these symbols we directly go and drag into on your artboard. Gutter. So typography gutters are the white spaces between columns in a newspaper article. See, this is a gutter. Gutter means between columns a gap. Suppose in newspapers generally, any newspapers if you take, suppose newspaper has generally 8 columns. Mostly any newspaper except that Hindu, I think 6 pages, I mean 6 columns in a layout. In one page, Hindu has 6 columns. Suppose other newspapers mostly they spread 8 columns. Each column is 4.5 centimeters width, right? So between 2 columns, 0.5 is the gap, right? That is called gutter. The gutter is between columns in a newspaper or in any magazine. That is gutter. And pica, 1/6 of an inch in length. So 1 pica means 1/6 of an inch in length. The pica is associated with a line, length and column width. There are 12 points or 16 pixels in 1 pica. So points and picas, here see 1 inch is 72 points. So 1 inch is 6 picas, 1 pica is 12 points. If you want to understand more clearly about points and picas, this will helpful, right? So generally we know 72 point means 1 inch font. And this is point. A standard typographical measurement equal to 1 by 12, so of a pica, or 1 by 72 of an inch. So here again they are showing in a image the height of type measurement from the baseline, right? They repeated again the same thing. Yes, and here it is important information. Here true types. True type font technology was originally developed by Apple in the late 1980s, but was later adapted by Microsoft and has since become the standard for Windows platforms. The key difference is that with the true type fonts, a single font file contains both the screen and print outline information, right? One single font file contains both the screen and print outline information. This means that whilst they are easily portable, they can cause problems when it comes to print. In fact, the font and the page may come out entirely different to the font in your design, right? So in true types invented by this Apple late 1980s, right? This is originally developed by Apple, but later they adapted Microsoft and developed by, right, for Windows platforms. So in true type fonts contains the both file formats. Suppose a print and for outline information it has. So that is the reason. If you observe that font, it shows some the sharpness on page, and suppose if you print that, it differently shows. So that means what? For print and the displaying on computer screen, it shows the difference between that. So these are the fonts lists. Again, it is OpenType. So is a cross-platform font file format developed jointly by Adobe and Microsoft. So Adobe has converted the entire Adobe type library into this format and now offers thousands of OpenType fonts. So what we are seeing in all the softwares in Photoshop and Illustrator, we observe all these, right? So this OpenType actually developed by jointly this Adobe and Microsoft. So in this category, this font converted the entire Adobe type library into this format and offering thousands of different OpenType fonts. The two main benefits of the OpenType format are it is cross-platform compatibility. The same font file works in Macintosh or Windows computers. That is right. So because this is developed by this Adobe and Microsoft, and these OpenTypes we use both the computers, Windows and Macintosh, Mac, and it is ability to support widely expanded character sets and layout features, right, which provide richer linguistic support and advanced typographic control. So that is the reason mostly all the computers they use these OpenType fonts, right? It supports Mac and Windows computers, and it provides richer linguistic support and advanced typography control. And so these are the fonts, the script fonts. Here PostScript fonts were developed in 1984 based on the Adobe PostScript language. PostScript is a high quality digital format. As such, these fonts are widely used in professional typesetting, graphic design and desktop publishing. They give you consistent control over text and layouts. What you see on your screen will be the same no matter the output device. So this is very important. The PostScript fonts, very important fonts, mostly we are using nowadays, right? So these were developed in 1984 based on the Adobe PostScript language. It is high quality digital format, right? So this fonts has the professional typesetting, graphic design and desktop publishing we use. It consistent control. So how it helps you? Suppose the result on screen, how look like on screen, no matter the output device. In output also the same quality it maintains on screen and paper after printing. So widely we are using these PostScript fonts. That is because PostScript fonts are made up of two files: a digital file containing bitmap information for display on screens and monitors, and a file containing outline information for printing the font. So already I told you this font has two files, one digital bitmap information, so for showing on screens and monitors, and another file outline information is containing for printing the font. When it comes to commercial printing, both font files will be included with the application file. Observe here, when you save this, so automatically the both font files will be included with the application file, right? So meaning PostScript produces more reliable results. The font on the page will perfectly match the font on your screen, right? So very crystal clear clarity you will get even on paper also after printing. So then, which font type is better when it comes to print? Again, definitely will raise a doubt. So many fonts are you are understanding, but which font type is better when it comes to print? True type can lead to issues during printing. So we discussed already, the true type can lead to issues during printing because on screen nicely, very sharply, clearly will observe the font, but the same thing if you print on the paper, true type fonts, maybe that much quality won't get, right? For professional printing purposes, PostScript fonts are state of the art and always recommended. If you want the highest quality when it comes to print, use PostScript. True type fonts can often be found free of charge on the internet. As a result, they are often of poor quality, intent for screen viewing only. So here specifying, mentioning what, always try to use these PostScript fonts if you are expecting the good quality printing. So in that quality printing with PostScript files only will get the same sharpness on paper. But the true type fonts, so when we use these true type fonts, because mostly we use these PostScript fonts, so when we have to use these true type fonts, this can be usable when it for screen purpose only. Suppose in web designing, for internet purpose, web designing. In web designing generally we see your screens, people in interaction, they observe your screens only, nobody can take the printouts of that, right? So mostly we use in web designing, in screen viewing purpose, we use this true type fonts. As a result, they are often poor in quality. So quality wise there's poor, intended for screen viewing only, just for the observation seeing purpose only. Better not to print those, right? That is the difference between the true type and PostScripts. Yes, because of this, it is essential to comply with one golden rule: always convert true type fonts into paths. This is super important but also super easy. So that is the reason when you want to use, if you want to use your true type fonts in printing, so better to convert these fonts into paths, curves. So what is that? I'll explain practically in the next class. So whilst it is essential to convert true type fonts before printing, it is also highly recommended to do the same with PostScript. Although PostScript is more reliable on account of its double file format, you can never be too safe. For example, the files might be missing. Exactly. Suppose sometimes we use both types, true type fonts and PostScript fonts. when you want to use these true type fonts, you have to convert these true type fonts into paths, right? So how to convert that, I'll explain in the next class. But for the PostScript fonts has the more screen viewing and the same quality we maintain in printing also. But for PostScript fonts also, we have to convert this file. Right click and give the same fonts into paths, because it has some problem. Maybe the files might missing, because in the version, suppose you are using one version of Illustrator, right? You composed a design, the same design at printer computer, if they open by the pen drive, right, insert and pen drive open, and maybe the same fonts which font we used at your computer, the same fonts may be not available with the printer's computer. So there the dialog box will appear, so the same font is not available, that closely related the close font is available if you want to use or not. Say this kind of problems will arise. So that is the reason we have to convert that PostScript fonts also into paths, right? So how to convert that, I'll explain practically in the next class. So these are the font serifs and sans serifs. Yeah, true type fonts, PostScript, open type. So these are the fonts. So this is a very simple typography. For understanding purpose, it is very easy. But by using these fonts and font styles in category of fonts, we have to design one typography design. So that I'll explain in the tomorrow's class. Just read and understand this, and tomorrow I'll explain this design, the practical design, right? So the same, the class, today's class is available on the YouTube after half an hour, right? So still if you have any doubts, please ask. Thank you.